The tension was unbearable, and the whispers had grown louder than ever before. For weeks, rumors had been swirling around Kirk and Jasmine, dragging their names through headlines, social media, and every gossip blog that could catch a story. Fans were shocked. Voices rose in disbelief, and the drama seemed to have no end in sight. But just when everyone thought they had the full picture, Michelle stepped into the chaos, and what she revealed would turn everything on its head. It all began with a casual conversation that quickly spiraled into a full-blown confrontation. Michelle had been quietly observing from the sidelines, piecing together snippets of truth that no one else seemed to notice. Her investigation led her to moments, texts, and secret meetings that had gone unseen by the public eye. And the moment she confronted Kirk, the emotions ran high. Anger, confusion, and betrayal collided in ways that no one could have predicted. "You think I don't know what's been happening behind my back?" Michelle's voice shook, a mix of fury and heartbreak. Kirk tried to defend himself, stammering, but the room felt like it was closing in on him. Jasmine, standing nearby, avoided Michelle's gaze, knowing that any wrong word could set off a storm. The tension was so thick that friends and family couldn't even step in without feeling the electricity in the air. Fans watching online couldn't believe their eyes. The accusations, the silence, the cryptic messages, all of it was culminating in a moment that felt almost cinematic. And yet, the most shocking twist came when Michelle, after hours of digging and confronting, declared something no one expected. Rasheeda was innocent. The revelation sent shockwaves through the family and fanbase alike. People had pointed fingers, shared assumptions, and fueled rumors for months, but now the truth, as Michelle presented it, demanded that the world reconsider everything. The room went silent as everyone tried to process the bombshell. Kirk's expression shifted from smug confidence to outright panic. Jasmine's lips quivered as tears threatened to fall. The family was left divided, unsure who to trust, and fans erupted online, debating, theorizing, and replaying every interaction they had ever witnessed. Michelle's revelation wasn't just a statement, it was a seismic shift in a drama that had been building quietly. And now, it was impossible to ignore. And just when it seemed like the storm had passed, whispers of hidden alliances, secret conversations, and betrayal bubbled back to the surface. Michelle had only revealed a fraction of what she knew, hinting that the story was far from over. The drama was escalating, the stakes had never been higher, and every fan, every follower, and every family member was left wondering what would happen next. This was no ordinary feud. This was a tangled web of trust and deception, and Michelle was the one holding the threads. Every glance, every word, and every reaction mattered, and, as the story continued to unfold, one thing was certain. No one would ever see Kirk, Jasmine, or Rasheeda the same way again. The truth had been uncovered, but the fallout was just beginning. The tension in the room was almost unbearable as Michelle paced back and forth, her mind racing through every detail she had uncovered about Kirk and Jasmine. She had always been careful, observant, quietly noting inconsistencies, half-truths, and moments that others would have dismissed. But tonight, the weight of what she knew pressed heavily on her, and she could no longer stay silent. Kirk sat on the edge of the sofa, his posture rigid, trying to appear calm, but the slight twitch in his hand betrayed him. Jasmine leaned against the wall, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. Yet her eyes darted nervously between Michelle and Kirk. The air was thick with anticipation, like the calm before a storm that everyone could feel but no one wanted to name. "Michelle, you're overreacting," Kirk finally said, his voice clipped, trying to regain control of the situation. "You don't know the full story." Michelle stopped pacing and turned sharply to face him, her eyes blazing. "Overreacting? Kirk, I've been watching, listening, piecing things together for months. Don't you dare tell me I don't know. I know more than you think, and I am not going to sit here while you try to twist the truth." Jasmine shifted uncomfortably, biting her lip. She had been part of the drama for months, caught between loyalty and fear of exposure. She wanted to say something, to defend herself, but the right words seemed just out of reach, like smoke slipping through her fingers. The room seemed to shrink around the three of them, each heartbeat louder than the last, each second stretching into what felt like eternity. I don't understand why you're bringing Rasheeda into this," Kirk said, his voice rising slightly. "She's done nothing wrong. Why are you dragging her name through the mud?" Michelle's expression softened, though her voice remained firm. "Because people are already accusing her, Kirk, and I've looked at every message, every meeting, every slip of behavior, and I can say with certainty that Rasheeda is innocent. She had nothing to do with the lies, the secrets, or the manipulations. It's you and Jasmine who have been hiding things, twisting situations, making others believe a story that isn't true. Jasmine's hands trembled, and for the first time, Kirk seemed momentarily caught off guard. The accusation hung in the air like a thundercloud, heavy and impossible to ignore. Michelle continued, her tone steady but piercing. Fans are shocked. Kirk and the family is divided because of the narrative you've been spreading. People are choosing sides, and it's tearing everyone apart. You think no one notices, but I notice. I see through it, and I refuse to let Rasheeda take the fall for your mistakes. The room was silent for a moment, each person processing the magnitude of the confrontation. Kirk ran a hand through his hair, frustration and fear flickering across his face. So what? You're just going to expose us? You think you're better than everyone else? Michelle shook her head, her voice rising slightly in frustration. This isn't about being better, Kirk. This is about truth. About making sure the people who are innocent don't get hurt while you and Jasmine continue to cover up and manipulate. This has gone too far, and I won't be complicit in it any longer. Outside the room, whispers had already started spreading. Family members who had been waiting for answers were now more curious than ever. Messages and calls flying in, trying to piece together what was happening. Emotions ran high as the drama escalated, and every word spoken inside the room seemed to echo through the walls of the house. The tension wasn't just between the three of them anymore, it had permeated the entire network of friends, family, and fans who were following every development with rapt attention. You think everyone believes your side of the story, Kirk? You think the fans aren't watching? They see the lies, the manipulations, the hidden agendas. Michelle continued, her voice calm but cutting like a knife. You've made Rasheeda a scapegoat, and it stops tonight. I'm not letting her reputation be destroyed because you can't take responsibility for your actions. Kirk's jaw tightened, his usual confidence faltering. You don't understand. No, Kirk, you don't understand. I've spent months understanding. I've connected the dots that you think are invisible. I know who said what, who met who lied and who kept quiet. And let me make this clear, Rasheeda was never part of the deception. She's innocent. You and Jasmine orchestrated this, and it's time someone said it out loud. Jasmine's shoulders slumped, a mixture of guilt and relief crossing her features. She hadn't expected Michelle to come forward, to confront the situation with such precision. The secret alliances, the hidden motives, the whispered conversations, all of it was now exposed, at least in part, and there was no turning back. Michelle, you can't just walk in here and throw accusations, Kirk said, his voice strained, but the force behind it had weakened. You don't know everything. I know enough, Michelle replied firmly. Enough to see the truth, enough to protect Rasheeda. Enough to make sure the rest of the family doesn't get dragged through this mess any longer. And the fans. They deserve the truth too. They've been watching, they've been speculating, and now it's time for them to know what really happened. The weight of her words seemed to hit Kirk harder than anything else. He had spent weeks trying to control the narrative, manipulate perceptions, and keep the family divided. But Michelle had dismantled the carefully constructed facade, piece by piece, leaving him exposed, vulnerable, and for the first time, uncertain. Jasmine finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Michelle, you're right, Rasheeda. She had nothing to do with this. It was us. It was me. Kirk. We made mistakes. We lied. She stopped, unable to continue, tears brimming in her eyes. Michelle took a deep breath, her tone softening slightly. Acknowledging it is the first step, but now, it's about making amends, clearing the air, and facing the consequences of your actions. This isn't just about us in this room, it's about everyone affected. The fans, the family, and Rasheeda, who never deserved any of this. As the night wore on, the revelations continued to spill out, each confession more shocking than the last. The details of secret meetings, hidden messages, and moments of deception painted a picture that was far more tangled and dramatic than anyone outside the room could have imagined. Emotions ran high, voices cracked, and at times, the room. Voices cracked, and at times, the room. It's about everyone affected, the fans, the family, and Rasheeda, who never deserved any of this. As the night wore on, the revelations continued to spill out, each confession more shocking than the last. The details of secret meetings, hidden messages, and moments of deception painted a picture that was far more tangled and dramatic than anyone outside the room could have imagined. Emotions ran high, voices cracked, and at times, the room seemed ready to implode under the weight of the truth being laid bare. The story that had been simmering quietly for months now erupted in a torrent of emotion, exposing vulnerabilities, regrets, and undeniable truths. Friends called, fans posted reactions online, and the family remained on edge, caught between disbelief and the harsh clarity of what had been hidden for so long. The drama was no longer just gossip, it was a living, breathing confrontation that demanded attention, empathy, and understanding, even from those who had only observed from the sidelines. Michelle's unwavering stance and insistence on truth shifted the dynamic completely. Kirk's attempts to control the narrative faltered. Jasmine's guilt became impossible to hide, and the family, once divided by suspicion and rumor, now had a path forward, however fragile it might be. The room, once filled with tension and uncertainty, now vibrated with a mixture of relief, shock, and the raw reality of human error, betrayal, and the possibility of redemption. And yet, even as some truths were revealed, Michelle knew this was only the beginning. The ripples of this confrontation would extend far beyond this room, into the hearts and minds of fans, friends, and family alike. Secrets still lingered in corners, half-uttered explanations waited for the right moment, and the story, far from over, promised more twists, more revelations, and more emotional upheaval than anyone could have anticipated. The night ended with an uneasy calm. Kirk sat quietly, processing the revelations and the undeniable truth of Michelle's words. Jasmine's tears had dried, but the weight of guilt lingered. Michelle, though exhausted, felt a sense of purpose, knowing she had done the right thing by defending Rasheeda and confronting the chaos head-on. The fans were watching, the family was watching, and the stage was set for the next chapter in a drama that promised to keep everyone on edge, hungry for the next revelation, and invested in the unraveling truth that Michelle had so courageously uncovered. The following morning brought no relief. The tension from the previous night had spilled over into the day, infecting every interaction and conversation. Kirk moved through the house with a subdued energy, the weight of exposure pressing on him. Jasmine avoided eye contact with everyone, her mind replaying Michelle's words over and over. The family had begun to sense the shift, whispers circulating in hushed tones, questions forming on everyone's lips but no one daring to ask aloud. Outside, the fans were already reacting online, social media buzzing with speculation, screenshots, and theories, all converging around one undeniable truth. Rasheeda was innocent, and Kirk and Jasmine were at the heart of the deception. Michelle remained resolute, refusing to let the narrative slip away again. She knew that Kirk and Jasmine would try to manipulate, excuse, and rewrite the story, and she was determined to preempt every attempt. She called together a small group of family members, those she trusted most, and began recounting everything she had observed and discovered. Her tone was calm, yet every word carried a weight that made the listeners lean in, their faces reflecting shock, disbelief, and in some cases, anger. "You need to understand," Michelle said, her eyes scanning the room. "Everything you've heard about Rasheeda being involved is false. The lies, the manipulation, it was orchestrated by Kirk and Jasmine. I've seen it, I've traced it, and I can prove it. This isn't speculation, this is fact." The reactions were immediate. Some members gasped audibly, others shook their heads in disbelief, trying to reconcile what they thought they knew with the new revelations. Whispers of "I can't believe it" and "how could they" filled the room, underscoring just how deep the deception had run. Kirk, who had been trying to maintain a sense of composure, felt the walls closing in. He had miscalculated Michelle's determination and the loyalty she inspired in others. Jasmine, meanwhile, was racked with guilt. She hadn't anticipated the full impact of Michelle's confrontation, and the realization that the entire family had begun to see through their ruse was overwhelming. "Michelle, I don't know what to say," she stammered, voice barely audible. "You're right. Rasheeda had nothing to do with this. It's all me and Kirk. She stopped, choked by emotion, unable to finish the confession. Michelle softened slightly, though her resolve remained firm. "Acknowledging it is only the first step, Jasmine. Now it's about facing the consequences, about rebuilding trust, and about clearing Rasheeda's name before the damage spreads further. Every day that goes by with the lies unchecked, her reputation suffers more. Fans are shocked, the family is divided, and this is your chance to make things right." The tension escalated further when Kirk finally spoke, his voice low and tense. "So, what now? You're just going to parade our secrets in front of everyone? You think the fans won't turn on me? On us?" Michelle's eyes narrowed, unwavering. "Kirk, this isn't about revenge. It's about truth, and the truth cannot be hidden forever. You can either accept it, work to fix it, or continue to manipulate and watch the fallout consume you. The choice is yours." As the day progressed, the story continued to unfold in ways no one could have predicted. Family members began confronting Kirk and Jasmine individually, emotions running high as arguments erupted over past lies, half-truths, and hidden agendas. Voices rose, tears were shed, and for the first time, Kirk and Jasmine faced the consequences of their actions in a very real, very personal way. The web of deception that had seemed unshakable the night before was unraveling rapidly. Each revelation weakening their control, each confession fueling a chain reaction that left the entire family on edge. Fans online were relentless, dissecting every snippet of conversation that emerged from the family, analyzing expressions in photos, rereading text messages, and theorizing about every possible scenario. The drama had gone beyond private family conflict. It had become a spectacle, a story that drew in observers, commentators, and followers from all corners, each adding their voice to the swelling tide of public scrutiny. Jasmine found herself alone in the study, replaying conversations in her mind. She felt the weight of exposure pressing down on her, the shame and guilt overwhelming. She realized that the narrative she had helped craft, the manipulations she had justified to herself, were now unraveling beyond repair. She reached for her phone, hesitating before dialing Michelle's number. "Michelle, I need your advice," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't know how to fix this. How to make it right, Kirk. He doesn't want to listen, and the family, they're already split. I feel like it's too late." Michelle's voice was calm but firm. "It's not too late, Jasmine. It's never too late to own your mistakes, to speak honestly, and to start rebuilding trust. You start by telling the truth, admitting what happened, and making sure Rasheeda's name is cleared publicly. Transparency is your only option now. The family and the fans will respect you more for honesty than for continued deception." This conversation marked a turning point. Jasmine, still shaken, knew Michelle was right. She resolved to face the consequences, to speak openly, and to begin the painstaking process of repairing the damage. Kirk, on the other hand, resisted, his pride clashing with the reality of exposure. Arguments erupted between them, heated exchanges spilling into hallways, the family trying and failing to mediate as emotions boiled over. Michelle observed from the sidelines, unwavering, her focus on ensuring Rasheeda remained protected and the truth was communicated clearly. She had anticipated resistance, denial, and attempts to manipulate, but she had also prepared for it, armed with evidence, keen observation, and the backing of loyal family members. The storm raged on, but Michelle's presence was a stabilizing force amidst the chaos. By evening, the family had gathered once more, the atmosphere heavy with anticipation. Kirk and Jasmine sat opposite Michelle, tension palpable, while other members hovered nearby. Eager to witness the next phase of the unfolding drama, Michelle began recounting specific moments, exact messages, and hidden interactions that highlighted the web of deception Kirk and Jasmine had created. Each revelation elicited gasps, murmurs of disbelief, and visible shifts in expressions. Kirk tried to interject, attempting to justify or explain, but Michelle's calm persistence left no room for evasion. "Kirk, the more you resist, the more obvious it becomes that you know the truth and are trying to avoid accountability. Every delay, every excuse, only reinforces what everyone already suspects. The fans are shocked, the family is divided, and Rasheeda deserves better. It's time to face it." The night wore on with heated debates, emotional confessions, and tearful apologies. Kirk's resistance gradually softened under the relentless clarity of Michelle's revelations. Jasmine's acknowledgement of her mistakes, coupled with her determination to make amends, began to shift the dynamic. Slowly, the family started to find a fragile sense of balance, the first glimmers of reconciliation appearing amidst the wreckage of betrayal. Michelle, exhausted but resolute, knew the battle was far from over. The drama had escalated beyond private walls, and the fans, now deeply invested, awaited each development with bated breath. Every word, every gesture, every confession carried weight, shaping the narrative and determining the path forward. The story was far from concluded, but a foundation had been laid for truth, accountability, and, perhaps, eventual healing. As the first part of this confrontation drew to a close, emotions ran high, secrets were partially unveiled, and the family, though still fractured, had taken the first critical steps toward clarity. The ripple effects of Michelle's actions were already being felt, and the stage was set for further revelations, unexpected twists, and dramatic confrontations that promised to keep everyone on edge. The truth had begun to surface, but the fallout was only starting, and no one, not Kirk, not Jasmine, and not even Michelle, could predict exactly what would happen next. The morning after the confrontation brought with it a tense, almost suffocating quiet. Kirk paced in the living room, each step echoing the anxiety that had settled deep within him. Jasmine sat on the couch, staring blankly at her hands, replaying Michelle's words over and over. The previous night's confessions and confrontations had left an indelible mark, and the weight of exposure seemed heavier now that the sun had risen. Outside, the world was already buzzing, fans and followers dissecting every detail that had emerged online. Social media exploding with theories, debates, and speculation. The truth that Michelle had revealed was spreading fast, and the reactions were nothing short of explosive. Michelle, meanwhile, had been making calls early in the morning, reaching out to family members, friends, and close allies. She knew that Kirk and Jasmine would try to manipulate the narrative, and she wanted to ensure that the truth about Rasheeda's innocence was clear before any false storylines could take hold. Each conversation she had reinforced the enormity of the situation. Family members were shocked, some expressing disbelief, others expressing relief that the truth was finally coming out. Whispers of "I always suspected something," and finally, someone said it echoed in every call she made, affirming the impact of her confrontation. As the day progressed, Kirk and Jasmine's attempts to regain control of the narrative became increasingly frantic. Kirk called multiple family members, trying to explain, to excuse, to twist facts, but Michelle had anticipated this. She intercepted texts, monitored conversations, and made sure that the truth was consistently presented. The tension in the household was palpable, the air thick with unspoken accusations and unvoiced fears. The family, caught in the crossfire, found themselves divided between loyalty, disbelief, and the dawning recognition of Kirk and Jasmine's manipulations. Jasmine, realizing the gravity of the situation, sought Michelle out privately. "Michelle, I need your guidance," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how to fix this, Kirk. He refuses to admit anything, and the family, they're already split. I feel like it's too late to make things right." Michelle's response was firm yet compassionate. "It's never too late to own your mistakes, Jasmine. The truth has power, and transparency is your only option now. Start by acknowledging your actions openly, and make sure Rasheeda's name is cleared. The fans, the family, they will respect honesty more than continued deception. This is your chance to begin rebuilding trust." Encouraged by Michelle's words, Jasmine decided to take the first steps toward confronting Kirk and the rest of the family together. She knew it would not be easy, that emotions would run high, and that resistance would be fierce. But she also recognized that avoidance would only make matters worse. She gathered courage, preparing to face the storm head-on, aware that each word she spoke could either mend or further fracture the fragile bonds within the family. As she approached Kirk, the tension between them was almost tangible. "Kirk, we need to talk," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Kirk looked up, defensive, his eyes narrowing. "About what?" he asked, though the question carried more apprehension than curiosity. "About everything," Jasmine replied simply. "About the lies, the secrets, and the impact on the family. Michelle is right, Rasheeda had nothing to do with this. It's us. It's all on us, and we need to face it before it's too late." Kirk's face darkened, a mix of anger and fear crossing his features. "So what? You're going to expose us? Make the family and the fans see us as villains?" "Not villains, Kirk," Jasmine said firmly. "Just accountable. The truth will come out either way. It's better if we face it now, together, than let it destroy us slowly. Michelle has already set the foundation for clarity. We can choose to cooperate, to speak honestly, or we can keep resisting and watch the fallout consume us completely." The next hours were filled with tense negotiations, emotional appeals, and reluctant admissions. Kirk resisted initially, trying to deflect, justify, and manipulate. But each attempt only reinforced Michelle's and Jasmine's points. The family, now fully engaged, became witnesses to a slow unraveling of carefully constructed deceptions. The room was a battleground of emotions: fear, guilt, anger, frustration, and occasional relief, all colliding in ways that left everyone on edge. Meanwhile, fans online were relentless. Clips of family confrontations, screenshots of private messages, and cryptic posts were dissected and shared widely. The story had become a spectacle, far beyond private drama, drawing in commentary from observers, influencers, and casual followers alike. Every reaction fueled the intensity, every post added layers to the narrative, and the pressure on Kirk and Jasmine intensified with each passing moment. As the day wore on, Jasmine found herself isolated with Michelle once more. "I don't know how much longer Kirk can keep up the act," she admitted. "He's panicking, but he won't fully admit it. What do we do?" Michelle's tone was calm, strategic. "Let him crumble. The more he resists, the more obvious the truth becomes. Continue to focus on clarity, transparency, and protecting Rasheeda. The family is seeing through the facade, and once Kirk's defenses break completely, there will be no turning back. It's only a matter of time before the entire truth is undeniable. As evening approached, the family convened again. Michelle, Jasmine, and Kirk sat in a circle, the atmosphere thick with tension. Michelle began recounting evidence, moments, and patterns of deception, each revelation eliciting gasps, murmurs, and stunned silence. Kirk attempted to interrupt, to justify, but Michelle's calm authority left no room for deflection. Kirk, every delay, every excuse, every lie you've told, has only made it more obvious what's true. The fans are shocked, the family is divided, and Rasheeda deserves better. It's time to face it, Michelle said, her voice unwavering. Kirk's resistance faltered, his pride clashing with the undeniable clarity of Michelle's words. Jasmine, tearful but resolute, nodded in agreement, ready to stand by the truth. Slowly, the room began to shift. The family, once fractured and confused, now saw the contours of honesty emerging. Confessions, apologies, and reluctant admissions created a fragile framework for understanding, the first glimmers of reconciliation forming amidst the wreckage of betrayal. Michelle, exhausted but steadfast, knew the work was far from done. The drama had escalated beyond private walls, into the realm of public scrutiny, where fans, followers, and extended family would continue to dissect every interaction. But with truth on their side, Michelle felt a cautious optimism. The foundation had been laid, the first steps toward accountability taken, and the stage set for further revelations, unexpected twists, and confrontations that would continue to captivate it involved. As the night drew to a close, Kirk sat quietly, the weight of exposure pressing down on him. Jasmine's tears had dried, but the sense of responsibility lingered. Michelle, vigilant as ever, remained determined to ensure that Rasheeda's innocence was never questioned again. The ripples of this confrontation would extend far beyond the walls of the house, shaping opinions, altering perceptions, and setting the course for the next phase of a drama that was far from over. The truth had begun to surface, and with it came the promise of more revelations, more twists, and more emotional upheaval, leaving everyone on edge and wondering what the next day would bring. The following day brought no respite. The previous night's confrontations had left the household simmering with unresolved tension, and every interaction now carried the weight of unspoken accusations and lingering guilt. Kirk moved through the rooms like a man burdened, his normally confident demeanor fractured by the stark reality of exposure. Jasmine, still grappling with her own conscience, alternated between pacing and sitting in silence, replaying Michelle's words over and over, each repetition driving the truth deeper into her awareness. Outside, the online world continued to erupt. Fans dissected every post, every story snippet, and every reaction from the family, feeding speculation and amplifying the intensity of the drama. The ripple effects of Michelle's revelations were spreading faster than anyone could have anticipated, and the household was caught in the eye of a storm that refused to relent. Michelle spent the morning methodically reinforcing the clarity of the narrative. She reached out to close family members, friends, and allies, recounting the previous night's events with precise detail. Each phone call, each private conversation, carried a subtle insistence on truth, leaving no room for Kirk or Jasmine to manipulate perceptions. Listeners reacted with a mix of shock, disbelief, and a cautious relief. Acknowledging what they had long suspected but never fully articulated, Rasheeda had been unfairly accused, and the web of deceit was orchestrated by Kirk and Jasmine. The family began to assemble again, drawn together by curiosity, concern, and the growing pressure of public attention. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, each member sensing that another wave of revelations was imminent. Kirk tried to maintain a semblance of control, speaking in measured tones, attempting to rationalize past actions, but the room's energy had shifted. Michelle's presence, calm, yet commanding, prevented any immediate deflection or excuse. The truth had a momentum that neither pride nor fear could contain. Jasmine, feeling the mounting pressure, approached Michelle once more. "I don't know how to make this right," she admitted quietly. "Kirk won't fully accept it, and the family. They're already divided. I feel trapped between what's true and what's convenient for him." Michelle's voice was steady, firm, yet empathetic. "You start by speaking honestly, Jasmine. Acknowledge what happened without hesitation. Make it clear that Rasheeda had no part in this. The fans, the family, they will see honesty as a strength, not weakness. It's the only way forward, and the longer you delay, the deeper the wound grows." Encouraged, Jasmine resolved to confront Kirk directly. She found him alone in the study, pacing and running a hand through his hair. "Kirk, we need to face the truth," she said. "The lies, the hidden messages, the manipulation. It ends now. Rasheeda had nothing to do with any of this. It's on us, and we have to own it before it spirals further." Kirk's expression darkened, a mixture of frustration and fear. "So, you're going to expose everything, make everyone see me as the villain?" "Not villain, Kirk," Jasmine replied firmly. "Accountable. The truth will emerge either way. Facing it together is the only chance we have to mitigate the damage. Michelle has already laid the groundwork. Resisting now will only worsen the fallout." The tension escalated as Kirk attempted to deflect, justify, and redirect blame, but each argument only strengthened the clarity of Michelle's points. The family watched, emotions running high as confrontations unfolded. Tears were shed, and reluctant admissions began to surface. Every exchange added layers to the story, revealing patterns of behavior, secret interactions, and previously hidden alliances that painted a complex, dramatic picture. Meanwhile, online activity surged. Fans, influencers, and casual followers dissected every detail. Posting analyses, theories, and reactions that magnified the intensity of the drama. The story had expanded beyond private family conflicts into a public spectacle. Each comment and share reinforcing the pressure on Kirk and Jasmine. The more they resisted, the more obvious the truth became, and the more fans and family members alike were drawn into the unfolding narrative. As the day wore on, Jasmine found herself alone with Michelle again, seeking guidance. "He's panicking, but he won't admit fully. What do we do?" she asked. Michelle's tone was strategic. "Let him crumble. The more he resists, the more apparent the truth is. Stay focused on clarity and protecting Rasheeda. Once Kirk's defenses fall completely, the reality will be undeniable. Patience and persistence are key." The family is already seeing through the facade. By evening, the family convened once more in the living room. Michelle, Jasmine, and Kirk sat in the center, tension almost tangible. Michelle began systematically recounting moments of deception, each revelation eliciting gasps, murmurs, and stunned silence. Kirk tried to interject, but Michelle's calm authority and precise evidence left no room for evasion. "Kirk, every lie, every delay, every excuse has only made the truth more obvious. The fans are shocked, the family is divided, and Rasheeda deserves better. It's time to face it," Michelle said firmly. Kirk's resistance began to weaken, his pride clashing with the undeniable reality before him. Jasmine, tearful but resolute, nodded, supporting the path toward honesty. Slowly, the room began to shift, the fractured family witnessing confessions, apologies, and the tentative beginnings of understanding. The first steps toward reconciliation were fragile but visible, emerging amidst the wreckage of deceit. Michelle, exhausted but steadfast, knew the work was ongoing. The drama had escalated far beyond the private sphere, extending into public scrutiny where fans, followers, and extended family would continue to examine every detail. Yet with truth on their side, Michelle felt cautious optimism. Foundations of accountability had been laid, and the stage was set for more revelations, unexpected twists, and confrontations that would sustain attention and deepen the narrative. As the night concluded, Kirk sat quietly, the weight of exposure pressing heavily. Jasmine's tears had dried, but her sense of responsibility remained. Michelle, vigilant as ever, was determined to safeguard Rasheeda's innocence. The confrontation's ripple effects would extend far beyond the household, shaping perceptions, influencing opinions, and setting the trajectory for the next phase of a drama that promised even more twists, emotional confrontations, and shocking revelations. The truth was emerging, and with it, the certainty that the story was far from over. And there you have it, the shocking truth uncovered, emotions laid bare, and a drama that's only just begun to ripple through Kirk, Jasmine, and everyone around them. Michelle's courage in standing for honesty has shifted everything, leaving the family divided yet moving toward clarity, and fans everywhere on the edge of their seats. But the story isn't over. There are still questions, alliances to be tested, and consequences that will unfold in ways no one could predict. Now it's your turn to weigh in. What do you think Kirk and Jasmine should do next? Will the family ever fully heal, or is the tension too deep to mend? And how will Rasheeda respond now that the truth about her innocence is out in the open? We want to hear your thoughts. Drop your opinions in the comments below. Let us know how you'd react if you were in their shoes. And don't hold back. If you've been following every twist and turn of this explosive story, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next dramatic chapter. The revelations keep coming, and you'll want to be the first to see every shocking moment as it unfolds. Stay tuned, Stay engaged and join the conversation because in a story this intense, your voice matters. Stay gentle. Stay wise. You matter more than you know. Stay wise. You matter more than you know.